Hey guys, let's get more news from Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. For NBA analyst, Heat should trade Jimmy Butler. NBA analyst Kendrick Perkins said the Miami Heat should trade star Jimmy Butler. During his appearance on ESPN's Zach Lowe's podcast, the former center commented on the bad phase of the league's current runner-up. The Heat have lost the last 7 games and are only 7th in the Eastern Conference. In other words, it is in the play-in zone. For Perkins, Heat and Jimmy Butler should follow different paths, as they have no chance of winning the NBA in 2023-24. 7 months ago, the winger led the Florida team on a surprising run into the postseason. Against all odds, Miami reached the finals. However, the team fell to the Denver Nuggets in a 5-game series. But, according to the commentator, Butler will never lead the Heat to the title. Therefore, the most logical option, according to Perkins, is an exchange involving the 34-year-old star. Thus, the former pivot defends a change of direction in the team. Perkins thinks the franchise should rebuild the team around the quartet of Bam Adebayo, Tyler Herro, Jamie Jaquez, and Terry Rozier. Miami has lost 7 straight games. So I think it's time for the Heat and Jimmy to part ways. So I think the Miami Heat need to do right by Jimmy Butler and send him to a legitimate NBA title contender. It's time for the Heat to start rebuilding their culture with youth. And that's not a bad thing. I just don't know how much is left of playoff Jimmy. After all, he is 34 years old, has a lot of minutes and a lot of wear and tear on his body. Anyway, I just don't see the Miami Heat as a title contender this season, concluded Perkins. Last month, Jimmy Butler said clearly that the Heat's NBA season is mediocre. The comment came after a home loss to the Indiana Pacers. "We are exactly where we don't want to be, which is very mediocre. Not good, not bad, just mediocre. You talk about our offense, it's been mediocre. You talk about our defense, it has also been mediocre," roared the number 22. However, in the last 4 campaigns, the Heat have taken the regular season on the back burner. With the exception of 2021-22, when it was the leader of the East, in the other 3 it was not even in the top 4. In fact, in 2022-23, the team was 7th in the conference. In other words, the same position he currently occupies. But under the leadership of Jimmy Butler, the Heat often make a comeback in the NBA postseason. After all, the team reached 2 league decisions during this period, 2020 and 2022. Therefore, the expectation of the team's fans is that history will repeat itself in 2024. With the aim of strengthening itself in the short and medium term, the Heat completed a trade last week. He gave up veteran Kyle Lowry and brought in point guard Terry Rozier, who had been playing well for the Charlotte Hornets. But so far, the team continues to play well. After all, there have been 4 consecutive defeats since Rozier's arrival. Finally, Butler has a contract with the Heat until 2026. During that period, he will receive $146.4 million in salary. However, the star has the option to become an unrestricted free agent in next year's offseason. Terry Rozier: "I feel like I'm part of the Miami Heat culture." Terry Rozier made his debut for the Miami Heat on Wednesday, 24, in a loss to the Memphis Grizzlies. But, even before playing his first game for the new team, he was familiar with the franchise's culture. In a pre-game interview, the former Charlotte Hornets point guard commented on the change and said that he has been an admirer of the Heat for a long time. "It's no secret how much I've loved the Miami Heat and Dwayne Wade since I was a kid," Rozier said. "This is definitely a time to come full circle. I'm happy to be back on that stage in a playoff race. It's incredible," he said. With the Hornets, Rozier averaged 23.2 points in 30 games. Therefore, now at the Heat, the expectation is that he can add not only offensive value, but also defensive value. The point guard, however, does not want to rush and hopes to contribute to the franchise's desire to win the title. "I definitely want to take my time. Things won't be perfect right away. I feel like I'm part of the Heat culture and I'm coming to help on the defensive side. We are basketball players. Let's resolve this, he concluded. Miami Heat coach Erik Spoelstra also commented on the arrival of Terry Rozier. For the Commander, the point guard has been a weapon since the Boston Celtics. And then, in Charlotte, he managed to evolve his game even further. Therefore, he is happy to be able to add such a competitive name to his squad. He has a lot of those competitive qualities that we respect, Spoelstra said. He's a competitive guy. Victory matters to him. He respects our shirt and wanted to be here. Not everyone wants to play for us. This matters. We want to have competitors with a similar mentality who see the competition in a very similar way, he continued. Spoelstra also commented on the team's new formation of point guards. After all, Rozier should play alongside Tyler Herro. The skill level is extremely high with both of these guys, he said. Terry can play more naturally as a point guard. He knows how to play with the ball and he also knows how to play without it, which is really important for our group. He was successful doing both. This year, he had to do a lot more with the ball and he shows what he is capable of leading the attack, he added. Rozier and Spoelstra aren't the only ones excited about the point guard's arrival in Florida. After all, Stephen A. Smith, ESPN commentator, for example, revealed that he was ecstatic about the exchange. Thus, for him, the deal could be an important step for the franchise to become a threat in the East. Is Demar Derozan's future with the Miami Heat? The Miami Heat are faced with a plethora of choices at Thursday's trade deadline, including whether or not to acquire a star. One popular name mentioned in deadline discussions is Chicago Bulls forward Demar Derozan. The six-time All-Star is averaging 22 points and 5.4 assists on 46.5% shooting and 33.1% from the arc. Demar Derozan, his future, either he's going to get traded at this deadline, or they're going to look into the summer, the Athletic's Shams Charania said on Run It Back. Or Demar Derozan could walk for nothing. The Heat and Bulls could perform a swap between Tyler Herro and Derozan with additional assets if requested. The problem arises from a spacing standpoint within their offense. Derozan thrives in the mid-range and paints much like forward Jimmy Butler, while center Bam Adebayo stays clear of three-point range. However, Butler is improving from the arc, shooting 44.2% on 2.2 attempts. The Heat were solving their scoring issue with guard Terry Rozier, limiting the number of positives to acquiring him. They should focus on finding a frontcourt player for a low asking price on the trade or buyout market, with the exception of Utah Jazz star Lauri Markkanen. It's a pressure-loaded point of the regular season for the Heat, as they hold 2 games above a .500 record. Anthony Pasiala works as a contributing writer to Inside the Heat. And you fan, what do you think of the Demar Derozan situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.